Have you ever set a goal for yourself, started with so much motivation, worked really hard, and even achieved some things, but still felt a sense of dissatisfaction deep down? It's like something's missing. There's another step to take, another achievement needed to finally feel, yes, now I'm good. This is exactly the paradox of endless striving that many of us face on the path of self improvement. It's kind of like running on a treadmill. You're putting in the effort, sweating, making apparent progress, but you never reach the finish line. Why? Because it feels like that finish line is constantly moving further away from you. From a scientific perspective, this can be rooted in the reward mechanisms of our brain. When we achieve something, our brain releases dopamine, giving us a good feeling. But this feeling is temporary, and our brain quickly seeks the next reward. This drives us to constantly pursue new goals without truly enjoying our previous accomplishments and feeling sufficient. On the other hand, the life experiences of many of us show that this constant getting better is often accompanied by an inner voice that constantly whispers, "You're still not enough. You need to try harder. Others are way ahead of you." This voice can come from many places, from the comparisons we see on social media, from the expectations that society and even we ourselves have, or even from childhood experiences and upbringing patterns. Take a moment to think, my dear. How many times have you achieved something, and instead of feeling happy and satisfied, you immediately thought about the next goal? How many times have you compared yourself to others and felt left behind? These are the signs of getting caught in this paradox. This is where the dark side of self improvement gradually reveals itself. The effort that was supposed to lead us to a better feeling turns into an endless race where only fatigue and dissatisfaction are our rewards. The sweet feeling of growth and learning is replaced by a constant pressure to must be better. Doesn't this sound familiar to you? Have you ever experienced this feeling or seen those around you caught in this cycle? Wouldn't you agree that one of the biggest thieves of joy and contentment in our lives is comparison? Especially in this age of social media, where the flawless showcase of other people's lives is constantly in front of our eyes. We see so and so's progress, the seemingly perfect life of another, and subconsciously, an ideal self takes shape in our minds, miles away from our present self. From a social psychology perspective, humans naturally have a tendency for social comparison. It was a kind of survival mechanism that helped us find our place in a group and get motivated to improve. But the problem starts when these comparisons become unhealthy and unrealistic. We usually see the best of others' lives and compare it to the worst of our own. Well, the result is obvious: a deep sense of inadequacy and dissatisfaction. The experience of many of us shows that this ideal self is an imaginary image built from a combination of wishes, dreams, and of course, the unrealistic standards of media and society. We are constantly striving to reach this imaginary image, unaware that we are drifting away from our real self. Take a moment to think, my dear. How many times have you achieved something, but because you saw someone else with a bigger achievement, your sense of accomplishment faded? How many times have you seen someone's appearance or life on social media and compared it to your own, feeling envious? These are the moments when we fall into the trap of comparison and start separating ourselves from our present self. This separation is very painful. It makes us undervalue what we have, not enjoy the journey we've come from, and constantly feel like something is missing. This feeling of lack can take away our motivation and even lead to burnout and depression. The reality is that everyone has their own life story with their own unique challenges and achievements. Comparing ourselves to the highlight reel of others' lives is like comparing a single frame of a movie to our entire film. Well, it's obviously not fair and only makes us feel bad. So far, we've seen together how the relentless pursuit of getting better can turn into a feeling of not being enough, and how comparing ourselves to an imaginary ideal self separates us from our real self and our accomplishments. So, the question is, what's the solution? How can we break free from this vicious cycle and experience self improvement in a different way? In my opinion, the answer boils down to one word: authenticity. This means accepting and loving ourselves just as we are, with all our strengths and weaknesses, with all our imperfections and perfections. Authenticity doesn't mean giving up on striving for growth, but rather that this striving originates from a real place within ourselves, not from external pressure or an imaginary image of the best self. From an existential psychology perspective, one of the most fundamental concerns of human beings is finding meaning and authenticity in life. When we are constantly trying to reach an external standard, we are essentially moving away from our authentic selves and experiencing a kind of inauthentic life. This inauthenticity can lead to feelings of emptiness, anxiety, and depression. Many experiences show that when we stop trying to be like others and start to discover and nurture our unique talents and values, we experience a deep sense of freedom and contentment. This freedom doesn't mean not making any effort, but rather that our efforts are in line with the flourishing of our true selves, not to reach a fabricated image. Take a moment to think, my dear, what if, instead of constantly comparing yourself to others, you focused on your own strengths and abilities? What if, instead of trying to reach a best defined by others, you tried to be your best self? This best self is a personal concept, a journey that each person must map out and walk step by step. The healing of authenticity is a gradual process that requires self awareness and acceptance. We need to learn to listen to our inner voice, recognize our values, and live according to them. This doesn't mean ignoring feedback or not striving for progress, but it means that the filter for this feedback and the direction of this progress come from within us, not from an external compulsion. When we live authentically, we no longer need to hide our flaws or pretend to be something we're not. This honesty with ourselves and with others brings a deep sense of peace and intimacy into our lives. We can live with our whole being, make mistakes, learn, and grow without worrying about the judgments of others or not reaching an unrealistic standard. In my opinion, being your best self means exactly this: being authentic, living according to your own values, and striving to flourish your unique potentials without falling into the trap of comparison or the pressure to reach an imaginary image. It's a personal journey, and every step we take on this path is a step towards a more fulfilling and meaningful life.